All right, we are back live on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter, Richie, how we doing, boys?
Doing great, man. We're 1 week away.
Yeah, man, I'm doing great. I am doing great. It's a nice little Monday out here. Hold on, sorry, I gotta watch my hand movements and my swaying and my gestures and all that. I forgot, but I'm doing really good, man. It's a nice little Monday here. We're 7 days away from, the biggest game in my history, a recent history that I can think of. I mean, this is going to be two absolute blue bloods, two heavyweight teams battling it out for supremacy, for the national title. Man, I don't know if I can wait 7 days. Like I've been on edge ever since this was announced. I've been like losing my mind. I grew up in Columbus, so I got all these Ohio State people. I walked into work today. I haven't been at work since Thursday last week. I walk into work, and one of the guys I work with goes, "Man, I can't wait to beat Notre Dame's ass. I hate that team." And I'm like, "Dude, I know, all right." Like, just first thing I hear when I get at the office, like first thing out of the mouth, and I'm like,
Great way to start your work day.
Yeah, like, all right, I hear you. Notre Dame, Ohio State. This is it. I've brought this on myself, being a Notre Dame fan. I get it, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I'm pumped up. The next 7 days is gonna be crazy. We're gonna have a crazy amount of content, a crazy fun time, and then it's all gonna culminate Monday, January 20th, right? And then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I find funny because I've seen some of the other creators out there talk about Notre Dame, and they don't even know who some of the guys are. It's funny because this team got left for dead, and then Notre Dame goes out there and beats Georgia. They beat Penn State, and now the narrative, and they beat Indiana. Now the narrative is that, well, Georgia had a backup quarterback. Penn State can't win the big game. Indiana didn't belong. So at some point,
just keep moving the goalposts.
At some point, you have to give this team the respect it deserves, and that you can say it's a 9 Ohio. All the pressure is on Ohio State in this game, all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
yeah. I mean, I talked about it when it first was, when Ohio State won the game. I think even in the post game when we were talking about it after the Ohio State game, I talked about it. I mean, if you're Notre Dame, if you're a Notre Dame fan, if you're a Notre Dame alum, if you're anybody around the Notre Dame program, you're playing with house money. You weren't supposed to be here. Like, after the NIU game, you weren't supposed to even make the playoffs, let alone play for a natty. Ohio State is dealing with all the pressure because I've heard it from national media, from pundits already, that this run by Ohio State's been great. It's been magical. Let them lose to Notre Dame and see how quickly those same people turn right back into the Fire Day lunatics that they were 3, 4, 6 weeks ago, right? And so all the pressure's on Ohio State. And I mean, they're no stranger to pressure. They've had pressure on them all year. But I think that, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, some teams are built to handle pressure. Some teams are built to be underdogs. I think you got two teams that are built for exactly what they are right now, which is Ohio State's had pressure the whole year, and they've responded well to it most of the time. Obviously, the Michigan game really being the one time they didn't respond well to pressure. I'll even give them the Oregon game that they lost as, like, they responded. They stepped up. They played a good game. They just lost a close game to a good team.
Right.
But the Michigan game is the only time that they really crumbled under pressure. As for Notre Dame, they've been the underdog. I mean, not really. I guess they were favored for most of the playoffs, but I felt like everybody wasn't really giving them a chance because every time somebody talked about them, it was, well, this team lost to a subpar MAC team. And it's like they just weren't respected. So you have both of them playing their roles, right? You have the favorite, which is Ohio State. They've been the favorite for almost the entire year to win the Natty. And then you got the underdog, which is Notre Dame. After that NIU game, nobody gave them a chance to get here, and they're here. And now they have to play their roles, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I completely agree with that sentiment on that. And one of the other downsides on this is that you have a ton of the Star Wars crowd, which is very loud from Ohio State. And I've noticed our subscriber count has changed a little bit in the last couple of minutes because some people probably don't like what I have to say. But I'll be gladly to eat crow on it. Ohio State goes in there and blows them out. Hey, wasn't meant to be, but also you still got to line up and play at the end of the day. The Star Wars crowd can be as loud as they want and ask Ryan Day about Lou Holtz, and that's actually funny to me. He's about to coach in one of the biggest games of his life.
He's still talking about
and they're still talking about his WWE promo he cut after the game.
Yeah, but no, I agree. And we'll listen. We've got all week to talk about this, and we will. Trust me, we will talk about it at length. But it is interesting to see how everything's rolling. But Duke, I didn't even ask you, and I feel like a bad friend right now. How's your week going? How was your Monday?
Oh, hey, it's Monday. It's another opportunity to get up and get on the show and make some content.
Hey, what's the best thing about being 4-0?
Hey,
the opportunity to go 5-0.
Exactly, like Coach Freeman says. The Conquerors write history, and Notre Dame is the one holding the pen.
Yep. Brendan, I'm glad you had a good Monday, man. I was just about to ask. I promise you. But go Irish, absolutely. We do have some announcements to get to and some social media posts and everything like that. So I don't want to take too much time just going down the rabbit hole that is Ohio State Notre Dame, and we will talk plenty about it. It is I guess it's game week, right? Because we're a week out, even though the next week is game week. But there's only really I'm calling it game week. It's been game week since Friday when Ohio State won. I've been on game week schedule, but we do have some exciting news, boys. And I'm gonna throw this up here on the screen because I teased it a little bit, had to iron out the details, but we got it all set now, and we are going to be going live Saturday. Oh shit! Hold on. Saturday, January 18th, live at 3 p.m. from Ike's Pub in Columbus. We're going to be in enemy territory, or for Richie, friendly territory. But it's going to be our Natty Show party. So Saturday, 3 p.m., get there. I think doors open at 2, so we'll be there. We'll be hanging out. And then we'll go live from Ike's Pub in West Columbus. It's right by Hilliard, so it's not far out there. If you guys are in the Columbus area, if you know any Notre Dame fans, here's what I'm going to ask. Anybody out there, if you know any Notre Dame fans and you can't make it because you aren't in Columbus, but you know some that are, send them out because there's going to be a lot of Ohio State fans, man. I know a lot of my people are coming that are Ohio State fans, and they're going to be giving us shit. So I need Notre Dame faithful in Columbus to turn out for this. Show up. We're going to probably do about an hour show, hang out. We'll get some drinks and hang out, have a good time. But we're really pumped up for this, man. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be like the teaser leading up to Monday night.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's going to be fun, man.
Yeah. Figured Saturday is a good day to do it. We can all get there and have fun and not worry about it too much. And then Monday, we might go live Sunday too. I don't know. Maybe do a little Sunday show. But Monday, I'm thinking a pregame show for sure.
Yeah, that's all on the table, and then probably streaming and a little post game action as well. So we got a lot of things.
And after the show tonight, we will be posting this all over social media, Instagram, Twitter. So if you follow us on there, make sure you repost it, retweet it, whatever, share it to your stories, all that stuff. If you don't follow us on there, we're the Andre Duke Show on Twitter and the Andre Duke Show on Instagram. Go out there, follow us. That way you can stay up to date with all our news and notes. But I was excited to lock that down. I'm actually going Friday night to hang out with the owner and my buddy who helps run it. And they have a DJ Friday night so that I can kind of see the layout and get a feel for how it all is going to work. But yeah, we should be over the loudspeakers. I mean, it should be a good time, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be a great time coming down Saturday. I can't wait. It's like Christmas come early yet again, a month later.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're doing some big things here. We've got some things moving into shaking, and then of course the game, and then what do you got for us on social media, Carter?
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about. We got a lot to discuss. Obviously, NFL playoffs going on. We got another game about to kick off here in a little bit. But all weekend we had the NFL playoffs, and obviously, Richie, you can close your eyes for this one. But the Washington Commanders went ahead and took care of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and my boy Baker Mayfield last night. But what an interesting stat this is. Did you know that only 4 rookie quarterbacks have ever won a playoff game on the road in NFL history? Look at that list.
That's somewhat decent company, I would say.
66% of them won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that is true.
That is
Russ,
very true.
Russ and Joe Flacco.
Yeah, butt fumble didn't ever get one, but
he made it to back-to-back AFC Championship games.
He did.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you go to USC. You get close, but you never quite get there.
That's right.
Anyways, but what do you think? What are your chances? Obviously, I don't think Jane Daniels is going to win it in his rookie year, right?
No.
Yeah, no. But I mean, what a good story. And Scary Terry out there just tearing it up on that extremely good Tampa secondary.
Yeah, lightly. God, I think Duke could play quarterback for Tampa, for crying out loud. I mean, they were getting shredded last night, but that's been the story all year with Tampa's, back four, injuries. I mean, it is what it is. They all I cared about was getting to the playoffs, and they did that.
G brings up a good point here. Not sure what's crazier, that 4 have only done it, and then that is the 4 to do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That is crazy because you would think there'd be like a Peyton Manning or I guess maybe that wasn't Tom's rookie year. I guess he probably sat a year beforehand or something. But
yeah,
yeah. I mean, of all the rookies to come out, those are the 4. Like, I mean, they're all like most of them are good quarterbacks. Mark Sanchez was not a good quarterback, but Joe Flacco maybe like. Is Joe Flacco even considered for the Hall of Fame? Do you think?
I think so. I think Flacco.
He might be. I think he would be.
Yeah. Just, I mean, Russell Wilson's probably not. Right? Russell Wilson probably not a chance unless he wins another ring.
They might put.
I don't know, because
find a way to put him in.
He's gonna have 40. He's got over 40,000 passing yards.
Yeah, but I mean, you still got to win rings, right? He only has 1. Like
they're gonna put. I don't think Cam's got the numbers, but I think what Cam did was, he's an MVP. Yeah. But they're going to put Cousins in. Cousins will get in because of numbers.
No, they still have rules.
I'm telling you, they'll put him. They'll put Matt Ryan in. They're going to put. I'm telling you, they're going to.
How many Hall of Fame quarterbacks don't have at least 1 Super Bowl? Is there any?
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino, yeah. You're talking about some of the greatest of all time, like Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, and fucking Kirk Cousins. They don't even sniff that.
They're gonna put them in because of numbers.
Yeah, but you have to adjust the numbers for the game, right? Like, I mean, shit, I could go out and throw for 30,000 yards over a 20-year period in this game.
I agree with you. It's all with the voters.
I'm telling you.
But you mean to tell me Terrell Owens can't get in?
Hell, they didn't put Antonio Gates in his first year, and the guy has 116-yard reception.
That's wrong.
Almost by a tight end. Trust me.
That's wrong.
I get it. Yeah, I agree.
That's just wrong. But
if Gates doesn't get in this year, it's bullshit if Gates doesn't get in this year.
Yeah, I agree. That is. But I just can't imagine Joe Flacco or Russell Wilson are going to be Hall of Fame quarterbacks like that. Just anyways.
I'm telling you, they're.
I hear your argument. I can't. I mean, I don't care enough about the NFL to keep arguing about it. It's fine if they want to put them in the Hall of Good, but other than that, let's answer this question before we move on to the rest of the games. Brendan wants to know, what's Ohio State's path to victory against Notre Dame? I mean, I will break this game down in depth multiple times this week probably, but I would say just off the cuff, path to victory is don't turn the ball over, play sound special teams, and let your playmakers eat. I mean, if they can throw the ball without much pushback from Notre Dame's secondary, it's going to be a long day for Notre Dame. And then let the defense do what the defense does. Ohio State's defense is not going to give up a big day running the football, so Notre Dame's going to have to throw, and that's the one area on offense where I don't know if Notre Dame can successfully do that against that secondary, especially if they have to do it 30-plus times. So I think Ohio State's path to victory is pretty self-explanatory and cut and dry. I think Notre Dame's path to victory is a little more nuanced and a little more difficult. But we'll break all that down this week. I've dove into it. I know a lot, but I need to watch more and research more before I give you my honest opinion. And that's one thing that you will get from me. I promise you. I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I will give you my honest opinion this week. And sometimes that might not be what Notre Dame fans want to hear. I'm hopeful that I don't go that way, but
do you feel like this game has like the potential to be like the 2000 was it 2002? Yeah, the 2002 Natty.
Miami and Ohio State.
Yeah,
where Notre Dame is the Ohio State in that scenario.
Correct.
Absolutely, and that's kind of the game plan if you're Notre Dame. You have to get turnovers. You have to make plays. You have to shut them down and hope and get some things to break your way. But yeah, I've heard that comparison. I've heard Ohio State, Florida 2006 as another comparison, whereas Ohio State was a huge favorite in that game. Nobody gave Florida a shot because Florida had 2 losses. I mean, a lot of people thought it should have been Ohio State, Michigan in the Natty that year in the rematch. And then Florida went out and dominated them. I don't foresee that happening. I think you're much more likely to get a 2001, 2002 Miami Ohio State game where it's a very close game, maybe even overtime, if Notre Dame's going to win the game. That's how I foresee that happening. Brennan, one more. Are you confident Ohio State holds Notre Dame under 150 rushing yards? How healthy is Jeremiah Love? If Jeremiah Love's 100%, I wouldn't say I'm super confident because I think Notre Dame will be able to run the ball with Riley Leonard and Jeremiah Love and run some schemes and do some things. But if I had to guess, 150, I'd have to look back, and I will this week. I'd have to look back to see if Ohio State's ever really even given up 150 yards rushing to a team. I'm sure they have once or twice this year, and maybe the Michigan game. I don't know, but I don't even think that game they did. So yeah, probably. But in other news around social media or around the NFL, the Texans dominated the Chargers. C.J. Stroud looked good. C.J. Stroud finally got that elusive win over Jim Harbaugh that he never had. Had to feel good, right?
I would think so.
I mean, it doesn't make up for the fact that Jim Harbaugh cheated C.J. Stroud out of a natty. Like that It doesn't fully make up for that, but at least you can feel good going home like, damn, when he's not cheating his ass off with Connor Stallions, I can beat that motherfucker.
Right. He looked pretty. I mean, he looked pretty good, while Justin Herbert looked mediocre at best.
Well, Justin Herbert threw 4 picks?
Yeah, I was about to say, I swear he threw 4 and almost 1 pick 6, which another one could have been another pick 6.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just disastrous for the Chargers.
Yeah. I saw some memes that were probably in bad taste given what's going on in LA right now. But the uncle once said, when your home burns down and your franchise quarterback throws 4 picks in the playoffs. And I was like, damn. Like, prayers to LA, man. That's not cool.
God.
But the Texans dominated the Chargers. Duke, I want you to listen good for this one. The Cleveland Browns beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They just wore purple and black.
Well,
how you feeling? What is the future of the Steelers? What are they going to do?
I would say that Russ won't be back.
Russ won't be back?
No.
What the hell are you going to do at quarterback?
I would say they're probably going to roll with Fields unless they draft somebody. I don't know. They got to get better up front at the offensive line. I would say Najee Harris is probably out the door. They didn't really have a good game plan on defense. And the thing that's misconcerning misconstrued with the Steelers is that their run defense was absolute fucking dog shit.
You played the King.
Nah, they lost. Every game they lost this year was because they couldn't stop the run. And the run defense was leaky. The pass rush is great, but the run defense was leaky. They need to get – I'm sorry, Cam Hayward, great Steeler. He had a hell of a game against the Ravens, but I think it's ultimately – I would like to see Jack Sawyer – in the black and gold.
He's not going to take Cam. He's not going to take Cam Hayward's spot.
I don't.
Well, Hayward's an interior defensive lineman. Jack Sawyer's not playing D tackle in the NFL, but
Cam lines up in a bunch at 3 techniques. So
yeah, Jack's not playing 3. He could take Hightower's spot, I guess, but
I don't know if what the Steelers are going to do. They got to get better defensive linemen.
I'll tell you want me to tell you what they should do?
And George Pickens has got to fucking go. I'm done with that. I'm done seeing that.
Finally, you are on board with me. Number one thing they should do is ship George Pickens out of town. That guy is an absolute cancer. But on top of that, you know what they got to do.
They're not firing.
Gotta get rid of Tomlin.
No, not happening.
These Pennsylvania people are just so screwed because they have these coaches that are mediocre enough to get the job done to keep their job, and they're never going to win anything. James Franklin and Mike Tomlin are two of the same.
Don't do that. Happy Valley and Pittsburgh, 2 different. It's culture versus culture.
I know a lot of Steelers fans, and they're all Penn State fans, and they're living in hell right now because they have the same thing at both places.
Complete misery.
They have coaches that are good enough not to get fired, but not good enough to win anything of substance, and that aren't good at developing what they were good at before they became head coaches. I mean, Tomlin was a defensive coach. The defense hasn't been that great. I mean, the defense is good, but like the run defense, like you just said, leaky all year. James Franklin was a wide receivers coach. I don't even know if James Franklin has coached a wide receiver in the past 15 years. They haven't had a single one be good. I mean, it's just at some point you gotta eat, and I hate the argument of, well, who are we gonna get? So miss me with that.
They're not firing him.
Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in almost 10 years.
And they're not going to fire him. That's just
they enjoy going 9-8 every year.
They're just not doing it.
Tomlin does have a Super Bowl. You're right, Sid. Tomlin has a Super Bowl. Guess whose players that was? Guess who set that up?
It wasn't Bill Cowher because it was
Kevin Cole.
It was Kevin Cole.
Yeah. Well, they got to get rid of their current GM. I don't know what they're doing.
I would say that they will probably, if Omar Khan doesn't start figuring it out, he will go before Tomlin.
Well, I think if I'm Tomlin, I might leave on my own. I don't need this. Yeah.
See ya. Deuces.
Bro, it's been fun. This is miserable. But also, where has TJ Watt been? Have you seen TJ Watt at all?
He still might be at Dick's, shopping.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been almost 200 snaps since he's recorded a single stat. Like I'm talking just a half a tackle.
I think he has a lower body injury.
Well, if that's the case, get him healthy. God damn, don't just keep lining him up. For all the shit Pittsburgh was talking last year about how much better he is than Myles Garrett, the dude disappeared the second half of the season this year.
Yeah,
but
I think he was hurt down the stretch, but I don't know. It's hard to make that argument, but it is really tough. It is really tough that you've got the last thing I have on the Steelers thing is they're not going to fire Tomlin because that's just not what they do. They just don't do that. They don't make big trades. They don't sign major free agents because, as you can see, a lot of the other I would rather lose the way that they're losing than go out and completely sell your integrity. Bring in all these big time free agents that never work out. Hardly ever. None of the big time free agents work out. Like, look at the Jets. It's a new coach every 3 years and a new quarterback every 3 years, and they ain't won shit since '68.
No, they haven't.
That's fair.
I mean, they
That's
haven't
fair.
Really, and the Steelers playoffs since '09.
And the Steelers have had 3 coaches. I think what the Rooneys are doing, and they have 6 Super Bowls. I think what the Rooneys are doing, I would rather stick with that model than what the Jets have done, what the Raiders have done. Although the Raiders had success in the 70s and 80s.
You don't have to go full retard. Sorry for the word, but you don't have to go full R word and go, simple jack it up. You can still be a good program and realize, hey, this ain't working. We haven't won a Super Bowl in 20 years or whatever. I mean, 20 years. We haven't won a playoff game in 8 years. Maybe what we're doing isn't working, and you can make changes. You don't have to change it every year like New England and Cleveland and all these other places are doing right now. But you can also acknowledge that what you're doing is not working. It's okay.
But also, let's put this in context. There was a lot of time between Ben and Bradshaw.
Oh, yeah, they were terrible.
True, yeah.
They were terrible for a while.
So
Neil O'Donnell, Bubby Brister.
Yeah, so I think that, it's hard to replace, probably your second greatest quarterback in your, 100 years of franchise history. To replace that guy, it's hard.
It's not if you plan for it.
Yeah, but as well as anybody, Ben ain't
look at the Packers. The Packers plan for it each time.
Yeah, the Packers have planned for it, but, you had almost, 30 years of great quarterback play and you won 2 Super Bowls? Did it really work?
How many Super Bowls do the Steelers have in the last 30 years?
They got 2, and they didn't plan for it. But the same guy won them both. Green Bay had to have 2 different guys win them.
That's just because they didn't have a good quarterback before Ben, unless you're talking about Bradshaw, which was 30 years before that.
Yeah, they won it. Like Sid says, 05 and 09. It took Favre in 94 and Rodgers in 2010.
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying. Well, and also that I agree. The Packers, who also lost this weekend to the Eagles and got really embarrassed, I think. But that's more of a. I mean, yeah, but the Packers only having 2 Super Bowls with Favre and Rodgers their entire career is that's inexcusable.
Yeah.
If you give me either one of those guys, just me. Like if I'm running a team and I have Rodgers and Favre back to back, I promise at least 4 rings.
So whenever that somebody says that Green Bay has done it completely right, have they? Because both quarterbacks have a-holed their way.
Right.
They've both a-holed their way out of town.
You're right, Duke.
Because it didn't end well with Favre, and it didn't end well with Rodgers.
That's Green Bay's fault. Yeah, that's Green Bay's fault for sure.
Because is Rodgers really the bad guy?
No. Look at Rodgers' entire career there. They didn't draft a single player in the first round to help him on offense his entire career.
And they really didn't do much. They didn't really do much with Favre. So, I'm not like the biggest Green Bay Packers hater in the world, but I'm just gonna say that they kind of ran their franchise like horse shit.
Go Pack, go.
And if they didn't have Favre and Rodgers, they're two players away from being the Chicago Bears. And I will heed this warning to the Bears fans. If you hire Ron Rivera, you are setting that it's not going to work.
They're going to hire Marcus Freeman.
They're going to rehire Ron Rivera?
They interviewed him.
Did the Bears have Ron Rivera? What was that?
They did. He was
the defensive coordinator when Lovey was there.
Okay.
Was he DC?
I thought you meant his coach. I was like, did I miss something?
No, he interviewed for the job, and I'm telling you, if you do, the team that doesn't hire Brian Flores, I'm telling you, they're missing the boat. And I just.
Well, in other news about the playoffs, the Bears didn't play.
I could see him going to the Raiders. Flores.
I think he's too smart for that.
Well, then he should be too smart to go to the Bears, but that's just me.
I think if they get rid of Poles, they'll be okay. I know that's Kirk Barton's buddy, but can you believe Ohio State offered him a scholarship before Barton?
Who, Poles?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No, I have no idea. I mean, okay.
But who would have thought that? But anyway.
Yeah. But all right, let's move on. Also, we talked about the Eagles beating the Packers minimally. We don't need to talk about it. There was a douchebag fan. If you've seen the video, Philly fans are the worst. That's all you need to know. The Bills absolutely blow out Sean Payton and the Broncos. I'm not shocked. I'm putting it out there now. Bills are going to the Super Bowl. It's going to be a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, just so you know.
A Lake Erie Super Bowl.
Yeah, just so you know, that's what it's going to be. But this came out today. Oregon's got a little bit of an issue.
I wonder what that could be.
Because not my guy, Ryan Pelum.
He's your guy.
Ryan Pelum arrested on a nationwide extraditable warrant, which means it's federal, for pistol whipping a person on Christmas Day. I don't know how you guys celebrate Christmas. I usually celebrate it by pistol whipping people. I think that is what God intended for us, right? Like, hey, Merry Christmas. What? Like, what are we doing, man? On Christmas Day?
Here's your present. Plam.
Yeah, that's a very.
I just want to know what happened. I mean, I know there's honestly there's a lot of crimes that happen on holidays, most of them involving alcohol and things like that. But I mean, what are we doing here, man? Pistol whipping on Christmas Day? That's just insane. Do you know who Ryan Pelum is? Like, I've never heard of him, so I'm assuming he's really a nobody.
If he didn't play football, no one would care about this.
Well, I understand that, but did you even know he that name? Like, if you told me like Tez Johnson, I'd be like, oh shit, I know who that is. But or Evan Stewart or whatever, but he's a nobody on that squad, right? Like I never saw him. I watched a lot of Oregon football this year.
Oh well, I guess we'll see what it amounts to. I'm sure I'm sure he'll have enough loot to get a good attorney. It'll get pled down, but also
fuck that. If you commit a crime on Christmas Day, especially a violent crime, pistol whipping, I think you should have to get 1.5 the sentence, 2 times the sentence. Like if that's 8 to 10, you got to do 16 to 20. Sorry, you shouldn't be doing it on Christmas.
But I'm also quite sure that there's probably a lot to that story of what happened, and it's just a catchy headline.
Well, we'll see. What he pistol whipped his girlfriend or something?
I don't know because there's no details, but
no. If he did that, he deserves 4 times the sentence.
In certain
females, that's a just PSA.
In certain states, it's funny because if you hold it like an officiating license, No, hear me out on this. Like if you
officiating what?
Like a high school official.
Oh, okay. I'm waiting for this to go back to pistol whipping.
But like, let's say somebody like punches you or something like that, it's a felony because you hold an official's license.
I think assault most of the time is a felony, but I get what you're saying.
But
I mean, there is misdemeanor assault. It's just, anyways.
But anyway, let's just see what the details are because you never know.
We got a couple more things on social media, and I have to bring this up. It pains me to do this. It really does. I like the guy. He was not a very good quarterback, but I got to be honest, Notre Dame fans, you got to stop supporting this guy on Twitter. I get it. He's speaking your language right now. He's calling out Ohio State. He's talking a bunch of shit, but this is not what Notre Dame needs right now, and that's my guy Malik Zaire. He is just crashing out on Twitter right now. And I got one tweet specifically that I'm going to throw up here. I mean, last 15 years, Howard is definitely the worst one by far. Ohio State fans trying to convince me that he's going to lead them to the ship. Okay. I'd even take Jalen Marshall at quarterback before Howard. My guy. This is just a bad look. Just a bad look. I mean, I support Notre Dame more than probably majority of people. I liked Malik Zaire when he was at Notre Dame. He was injured a lot, never lived up to the hype. Ended up transferring to Florida, was miserable there. I would say Malik Zaire might be the worst quarterback in Notre Dame's last 15 years. And to be talking about Will Howard in that way is, I mean,
a little disrespectful.
Disrespectful and not even true. I could probably name 15 years. Let's see, that takes us back to 2009. So 2009 was TP. That was Terrell Pryor's day and age.
Terrell Pryor.
So Terrell Pryor's better. After TP was Bowserman.
Bowserman in 11.
Yeah, Bowserman definitely worse than Howard.
Then Braxton.
Then Braxton. Braxton better than Howard.
Braxton then, 12 and 13. 14 was JT.
JT.
15,
JT better than Howard or worse than Howard?
I don't know. I'd say it's about equal.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I mean, I'm just talking quarterback play now. I'm not talking his ability to get the most out of his team, leadership, all that shit, which I think Will Howard does a good job of. But obviously, JT, I believe, was a better leader, he was. JT was more of a Riley Leonard to me.
He was a Wolverine Slayer, though.
Yeah, well, that's true, but I don't know. I think Howard's a better quarterback than JT was. Got to be honest.
I'd
just
say
pure throwing the ball.
I think Howard's better than JT throwing the ball, because JT would always throw those little dink and dunks, 5-yard hitches, slants.
Yeah, Howard
Howard can launch.
Going into the year, I thought Howard would be a lot like JT, but Howard's downfield throwing has improved tremendously over the year, and I don't think JT's ever got to that point. But let's say that's a toss-up. Okay. After Howard, Cardale. I mean, Cardale's had such a small sample size. I can't say he's a better quarterback than Howard. He definitely had a better arm.
Yeah, because
after Cardale, it gets pretty easy to. I mean, Fields, CJ, Dwayne, those are all better quarterbacks than Will Howard for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Kyle McCord?
No, buddy. I don't know about that.
Because that's another one that he brought up. Kyle McCord, he was like, you saw what he did this year. Yeah, dude, in the ACC with Syracuse. Get out of here.
I don't know. I'm not gonna do that.
Here's what I said.
Kyle McCord. Because you have people picking guys from the FCS off the scrap heap out of the transfer portal and saying these guys are starters and they played at the FCS level and you really don't know if they can play or not.
Yeah.
And you have people saying, "Oh, this guy's going to come in and start for us right away." Now hold the damn phone. You're going to say Kyle McCord sucks and he's at a Power 4 playing in another conference. you're going to say he sucks, but this guy you sign out of the transfer portal that's been blocking Joe Bafootsma at fucking North Dakota State is better than him. You can't have it both ways. So
no, you can't.
They're either good or they're not. Period.
Fair. And I will say, Rod Farber, hey, I appreciate seeing you in here. I see you all the time in the Menace chat. But Will Howard does have more passing yards in 3 games in the college football playoff than Zaire had in 3 years at Notre Dame. That's true. That's a fact. And then, obviously, Will Howard, I don't know. My main thing with that is, hey, Malik Zaire, if this gets to you in any way, Notre Dame fan here, I respect what you did when you played at Notre Dame. I understand that there might have been a part of you that wanted to be a Buckeye and you didn't get recruited. I sympathize with that. Just put the phone down from now until January 20th. We don't need, Notre Dame doesn't need any more bulletin board material for Ohio State, right? That Will Howard doesn't need extra motivation because a former Notre Dame player is calling him out saying he's trash. Just put it down. Support Notre Dame. Retweet Notre Dame's official Twitter, stuff like that. And then after the game, if Notre Dame wins, talk your shit, man.
Yeah, and I understand where, why Malik would say that. But also
I don't.
But it's one of those things. It's called engagement farming.
Oh, well, yeah, he's trying to.
He's trying to bait Ohio State players.
So
not players, fans.
So
he's got a podcast, I believe, so that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's all in. There's another notable Ohio State alumni that says a lot of stupid shit on the airwaves as well. So let's keep it. Let's keep it on.
Keep it a hundo.
Let's keep it 100. And also, when it comes to something like that, we haven't reset the show yet. I totally forgot about that. But the biggest thing is that when it comes to who's having issues here, let's think of it this way. The head coach of the hottest brand in all of college football is getting asked about an 88-year-old guy that lives in Florida that hasn't donned a sideline in over 30 years. He's getting asked about him.
Yeah, hey.
So
as Irish for Life said right here, Zaire doesn't need to be given an Ohio State tackling fuel. Leave the trash talking to Lou Holtz. That's right. Let sweet Lou handle that, buddy. Sid, OSU fans always looking to be offended. That's facts.
That's true. I'm one of them.
G came in here and said Zaire also said Alfred was the best thing to happen to OSU and thinks Alfred gave OSU Zeke. Yeah, he was a little mixed up in his timeline there. But there will be no Tony Alford slander on this channel. I love Tony Alford. He was great for Ohio State. You guys just didn't appreciate him well enough. But
also, real quick, did his Twitter get hacked?
Yes. Yes, it sure did.
Because there was a tweet that was out there. I didn't send it.
My brother hacked it.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he knows his password.
I'm not shocked that, that Zach probably would know his password, but Zach wouldn't do that to the guy.
No, I'm kidding. He didn't. Yeah, Tony is missed at Notre Dame. I wish Tony would have gone to Notre Dame. He was supposed to leave Ohio State to go to Notre Dame, and then it didn't work out, and he ended up going to Michigan. If Tony Alford was at Notre Dame, first of all, I would be going to the national championship game. But
Tony,
his password is Go Irish 88. Exactly. Exactly.
Real quick, we
go ahead
will
and reset it.
Reset the show. We got the live show at Ike's Irish Pub on producer Ed is punching up the graphic here.
There. Let him get there. He's getting there.
But live show January 18th, 3 o'clock is when we're going to start. We're going to be over the loudspeakers. We're going to be there in person, all three of us. You can come check it out, come hang out, have a couple of drinks, and we'll be hanging out, for a little while after the show. So So we'll be there.
I'm going to see if I can get them to do a special on Irish car bombs during the show. So,
I've never had an Irish car bomb.
Yeah.
oh, Reggie's never had an Irish car bomb. Well, I know what you're doing.
Hey, I gotta drive back. Come on, dog.
You can do one car bomb, which is a derogatory term, by the way. Irish car bombs, not the nicest thing in the world.
But also, if you're watching out there on Twitter or on the YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Help us grow this thing. We're starting to build a community. We got Irish for life. We got Sid, Cameron, and Brendan in here. So we're growing a little community. But with that being said, hit that like and subscribe button and help us grow this thing. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's get to a couple chats, and then we'll finish out social media. We'll jump into a couple things. We might run a little long tonight if everybody's cool with that. But Cameron's here. What's up, Cam? Need an OSU meltdown after a Notre Dame victory. Buddy, I will be here for it. We will be live streaming it. I will have so much to say. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Alfred was a solid quarterback coach. Meyer. Yeah, I like Malik, but I don't get the balls to talk shit about OSU right now yet. It takes some balls or some ignorance, that's for sure. Not elite. Do we have security for Andre for Notre Dame fans? I don't think so. I think Andre is going to have to answer for some of the things he's said on this podcast. And we have grown over 100 subs in like a month. That's right. Keep it up.
Thanks, Brennan. Yeah. Keep them coming.
They plugged you at Irish Breakdown. Don't tell Brian. Hey, I appreciate it, Irish for life. Keep plugging us. Get those guys over here. Well, I'm not going to talk bad about Irish Breakdown. They do a good job. But get them over here. We're a little different. We keep it a little different over here. So get them over here. But last thing here, before we jump into talking about the playoffs and Notre Dame and everything like that, go ahead.
Let me give a disclaimer. I will be there at the live show, and I'll be happy to talk to anybody. Sometimes you think that some people that wanna come press somebody, they think it's a good idea. It's not always a good idea. And also, let me give a service announcement to people in the social media thing. Remember sometimes that Twitter is not a
real place.
It's not a real place, but if you run in the same circles with some people, you're going to tend to run into somebody or you're going to piss up the wrong tree. And I think that at times that if you piss up the wrong tree and you think something is ha-ha funny, that person might not think it's funny, or you think that you're trying to take credit on somebody's on what somebody has said, or trying to be Johnny come first. Just remember that sometimes if you mess with somebody, that dog will bite back. Just a public service announcement.
All right. I don't know what that means, but
long-winded thesis. I love it.
But
I'll send you the post because I'm pretty sure it's going to piss somebody off.
You send it to me, and I'll be sure to air it out so that I can piss them off because I don't give a fuck. But SEC fans, you know what they're crying about now? This just amazes me. They're crying because Notre Dame and Ohio State are in the Natty, and there's no SEC teams. It's pretty sad that two teams in the championship both ponied up a lot of money to purchase starters off of other teams. That's what the sport has become. Who will spend the most? The irony of this coming from an SEC fan is just mind-boggling.
The pot calling the kettle black.
I know. It sucks. It sucks that we made this all above board so that everybody can do it. You guys can't do it and hide it and nobody else do it. And I know it hurts your little ego because SEC now is just another conference and they aren't the best conference. They're on par with everybody else. And it just really sucks. I know that sucks. Alabama Jones is really upset about it. How dare you say we paid people at Alabama, even though we did. Also, let's make something very clear. The money that both these teams put up was majority spent on returning starters that were recruited and developed by the schools. Outside of the quarterback for each school, and obviously Caleb Downs for Ohio State, majority of that money went to people who were already in the program. So they didn't just go pillage a bunch of other schools. They picked a couple people off of some other schools that wanted to leave and built and paid their roster. Like, sorry. And guess what? It's legal. Everybody can do it. Alabama could have done it. Alabama could have kept Caleb Downs and Seth McLaughlin.
They didn't.
They didn't.
They couldn't.
Riley Leonard could have stayed at Duke. He didn't.
Well, one of the other things too is that when it comes to certain programs in a certain conference, some people don't like the way the sausage is made. They don't want to see. They just want a good product.
Yeah. Now they know how it's made, and they're upset that everybody else can make it the same way now.
Right. And, it's funny how some people have – I call it amnesia. Not that I'm throwing shade, but there was a guy that, was involved in one of the biggest recruiting scandals. He was an athletic director, but he's moved on to a different program now, but nobody is even bringing that up. But I'm just saying –
Are you talking about Ross Bjork?
You'd probably have to go back and look into that.
I mean, good for him. He was ahead of his time, as they say. But I mean, just shut up. Just shut up, SEC fans. Just take your medicine. Big Ten fans, Midwest football, Northern football has had to do this for years. We've had to sit back and accept that the SEC was better, and now it's getting evened out. I'm sorry. Get over it.
That's what the portal does.
Disciples here. Disciple, appreciate you. Georgia's bagging recruits left and right. They'll probably be back next year. I agree. Georgia's getting on par with everybody else. Dave's here. Turns out if you have to compete on a level playing field, their money doesn't go as far. Exactly. When everybody else has the same amount of money as you, it's harder to recruit. Disciple, you did say Beck was going to Miami. I should have listened to you. I forgot the power of pussy. I forgot it. And that Cavender pussy was just worth so much. Yeah, and Notre Dame does spend big. They're just not dropping bags before ever coming to campus. Yeah. I mean, that's why they didn't get Deuce Knight. Kyron Williams scored a touchdown. Thanks, Richie. If not for the portal, ND would not be in the national championship game. That's probably true. I probably agree with that. I think they did a good job in the portal. Obviously, they added some wide receivers. They added Riley Leonard. I would be interested to see, and this is just off of a small sample size. I would have been interested to see what this team looked like with Steve Angeli at quarterback the whole year. Like, if they didn't get Riley Leonard, and if that's what they were forced to do is to start Angeli, I would have been interested to see what this team was, because based off the small sample size I've seen, I'm not saying it would have been a better team at all. I think Riley Leonard did a great job and is the right answer. It would have been a different offense. That's all.
I mean, Carter, how do you think he plays, towards the end of the first half of that Penn State game?
He went out.
I thought he played okay.
He played great. What do you do? I think he went 4 of 5 for like 54 yards. And he drove them right down and scored. I mean, he drove them and got their first points of the game. I was sitting there texting Zach, and I was like, dude, you got to let Angeli go. Like, he's giving this offense a spark.
That's what I was saying. I was like thinking, you got to roll with him second half. He's the one that's moving the ball.
I agree. Yeah. I agree with Irish for life on this one because of how tattered the offense
line injuries.
He would have struggled, and also
his pocket presence leaves a lot to be desired. I agree.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and one of the funnier things is that somebody that was somebody had said that if they could hire an offensive line coach, they would hire Joe Rudolph. It's just
Oh.
I'm just.
I thought they were trying to say Notre Dame needs to hire an offensive line coach.
No,
Dude,
no.
the fucking O-line coach is great. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But
Like, he's done a phenomenal job given what he's had to deal with. Just like Justin Fry at Ohio State.
And then I did see somebody. I'm trying really not to out a lot of people here, but because I watch a lot of things, and they were talking about the starting left tackle,
Mostly
going down,
but yeah.
Jagasaw, and and I think Jagasaw. Do you leave him at guard or do you play him at tackle since Knapp's out?
So I think my understanding is the reason he's playing guard is because he's not healthy enough and mobile enough to play tackle. If he gets healthy over the next 10 days and can play tackle at a high level, you absolutely put him back at tackle. But my understanding is the reason he was at guard is because, at tackle, you have to be so much more mobile, so much more agile. You have to be so much better. Like, I'm not shitting on guards or anything, but it's just a much harder position to play as far as athleticism. And if he's not 100% because of the injury and he's not 100% back, you can't line him up there. I'd rather have Tosh Baker, who looked okay. He's not great. He's gonna give up some plays. He's not gonna be perfect. But if Jagasaw can go, I like him at tackle a lot more than Tosh Baker if he's 100%.
Because typically you'll get tackles that can play guard, but you don't have guards that can play tackle typically.
No, one of the few is Donovan Jackson.
Well, I think Donovan Jackson made him, out of all things being real here, I think Donnie Jackson's going to be a first round draft pick at tackle.
Absolutely.
Because of how well he's played this year.
Oh, he absolutely will be a first round pick. Maybe not a tackle. They might play him at guard, but what he's proven is he can play all 5 positions. If he can snap the ball, he can play center, he can play guard, he can play tackle. So if you're an NFL team, you need that. Even if he's your 6th O lineman, that's the best 6th O lineman in the world because no matter who goes down, you can put him in.
So, we are going to run a little late today, and it's all good. Yeah. What about –
I'm guessing Jagasaw at left tackle, Spindler at right guard. I hope you're right, but I hope they only do that if Jagasaw is able to play the position because the fact that they put him at guard tells me that he might not be 100%, but they have time. He's got some more time to get healthy.
Moving on real quick. I know the offensive line is going to be a huge topic going forward, but you got here the 12-team playoff debate.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Let's get into that.
Yeah. So I saw this. I forget the fuck's name, John whatever. He tweeted about it, and everybody's talking about it. Do you think the 12-team playoff has improved or decreased the value of, or just has it made the sport worse or better, in your opinion, Richie?
I think it's made it better because there's no debating who gets in. Like, for 3 lost teams like Alabama, like Ole Miss, I think they do need to rework something as far as picking teams. Like, you got to go strength of schedule as one and power of quality of wins versus your opponents. I think that'll weigh in a big factor in putting these teams in the playoffs. I think they need to leave it at 12. I don't think they need to expand it. I think you leave it where it's at 12 teams. Any more, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna make it watered down. It's not gonna be worth watching, in my opinion. You just keep it 12, keep it simple. Don't mess with it.
I like the 12-team playoff, but I would, some people want them to have the original seeding, and then after they play one round of games, they want to reseed. I'm not saying reseed the whole damn thing, but what I'm saying is if you're going to have 12 teams, that's fine. But get rid of the buys for the conference championships because, fun fact for James Franklin here, all the conference champions lost. And he bitched about Notre Dame not being in a conference, but Ohio State didn't play in the conference championship game. He didn't say a word about that.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of games, am I not right?
You stand correct, Duke.
Yep. Well, actually, yeah. I mean, both teams will have played 16 games this year.
Exactly. They didn't play in the conference championship game. So, I mean, for all the Penn State fans bitching and saying Notre Dame got, a leg up on the whole competition, well, Ohio State didn't play in a conference championship game. Penn State did. I'm trying to think of the rest of the teams that didn't, but I think it's just I believe it's just Ohio State
in the Final Four or in the Final 8.
The whole damn thing.
What, that didn't play in the conference championship?
Yeah, Indiana, Notre Dame, Ohio State,
Tennessee.
Everybody else played.
Clemson did, Texas did, Arizona State did, Oregon did, Boise State did, Georgia did, SMU did. Yeah, that's right.
Everybody, so 4 teams out of the 12 that didn't.
Yeah,
and it happened to be the 2 that didn't are in the finals. I don't think that's.
Oh yeah, and miss me with all that. So the one thing that I'll say is, so the 2 schools of thought on this, right, are that some people are saying it's working because you have the 7 and 8 seed facing off in the Natty. So those teams wouldn't have made the 14 playoff, wouldn't have had a shot at it. So that means it's working, right? And the argument is that neither would have made that playoff, so the 12-team format's valuable. The counter argument is that the 12-team playoff simply gives blue bloods, right, like Notre Dame and Ohio State, a second chance because both those teams, Ohio State and Notre Dame, suffered the biggest upsets of college football this year, right? NIU and Michigan, 20-point favorites at home, both lost. No chance they overcome that in the 14 format. So all you did was make those upsets completely irrelevant by having them get in and now play for the Natty. My argument is it depends on what you want. Do you want the best teams in college football to play for the national title every year? If the answer to that is yes, then you want the 12-team playoff. The best teams are going to survive that playoff and play for it. If the answer is no, that you want the most deserving teams to play for it, then go back to 4 teams because then the regular season matters a lot more. You can't make mistakes. You can't do all that. And then you get a national champion. Now, were they the best team like last year? Was Michigan the best team? I don't know. That Georgia team that was the 5 might have been the best team, but they slipped up. So they didn't get in.
And here's another, I guess, another thing on the 12-team playoff. You know, they give Notre Dame a lot of shit on the not having the conference thing, but Notre Dame made a ton of money for this run. That. And then also whenever you double down and look at it, you have these teams in these conferences. There's only a handful of teams in each conference carrying the water for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say the SEC, you have 7 or 8 teams that have massive fan bases. You have Georgia. You have Alabama.
Look at the ratings, though. The SEC is top heavy, just like the Big Ten.
And I'll agree on that too. It's just the fact that they want to alter the playoff format. The only people that want to alter the playoff format is the ones that it doesn't fit their argument. Yeah. It's the same thing with the transfer portal. A lot of the SEC coaches don't like the transfer portal. Do I think immediate eligibility is hurting the sport? Yes, but I can see why they don't, because it's not fun when the rabbit has the gun and they can't stack 5 and 6 great linebackers on one Georgia team anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are gonna leave.
Go somewhere else, yeah.
And because they want to play. And I don't think that trying to take a kid's opportunity away just because it strengthens your team. Well, I'm sorry, but this is the landscape. It didn't with Ohio State blowing out Tennessee, blowing out Oregon. Did they just stop the inevitable before it happened to get to the biggest stage? Because everybody's throwing a "Don't cry for me" Argentina party for Oregon, and I'm just thinking, well, did Oregon really just get run into a buzzsaw before they could do it in the final?
Yeah.
Or if they would have made it there?
Yeah. So here's the thing of what I'll say. I think the 12-team playoff is perfect. I mean, obviously, I think ways to improve it with seeding and things like that. I don't think it's necessarily fair that Oregon had to face possibly the best team in college football round one when they had the most impressive regular season. But here's what the 12-team playoff did. And this is why I fought so hard with you when you were telling me SMU, Boise, those schools shouldn't be in. The 12-team playoff did a mixture of what it did. It did exactly what it's supposed to do. It got the 12 most deserving teams into a playoff to figure out who the best team was. Now, the best team in college football is one of the 12 teams in the playoffs. And after the results of the bowl games, you can't tell me any different. Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss is not going on a 4-game run. Alabama's not going on a 4-game run. That's not happening. So they got the 12 most deserving teams in. Of those 12, I promise you, the best team is in that 12. And the best team is going to win this national championship, whether it's Notre Dame or it's Ohio State. That is the best team in college football, regardless of what they did in the regular season, losing a game they shouldn't have lost. It is perfect because of that. The 14 playoff, just like Dave said right here, because Dave is a Michigan fan, and he didn't want to play Georgia last year. And you know why? Because Georgia might have been the best team in college football. Now, were they up the most deserving to get into a 14 playoff? No, but they absolutely earned the right in a 12-team playoff, and they might have won the national championship. And so did we actually crown the best team in college football as the national champion last year? We'll never know. I don't know. I'm not going to take anything away from what Michigan did. They earned that national championship. I would like to see them play Georgia just to see if they actually were the best team. This year, there is no question about it. You cannot sit there and tell me Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, South Carolina, or those are the people that are talking, so that's what I'll go with. They are not the best team in college football. The best team in college football was in the playoff, and if they lost, they're not the best team anymore in the playoff. That's just it's perfect because of that.
I got into a bit of an argument about the 2023 Michigan team, and they're wanted to say they did this, they did that. Well, okay, Louisville still won the Natty. If it's not gonna change the result of the game. All it is a technicality, and one side jumping up and down saying, look what they did. My thing is that I used to care and thought it was going to be a big deal, but since they don't sign scholarship agreements, what are you going to do? Make them pay a fine? They're already making a ton of money. Yeah. Just move on. And you could jump up and down and say this is coming, that's coming, and the NCAA, who cares? The NCAA is 18 months from being fucking irrelevant anyway. Yeah. So if you think it's bad now, wait until some of these schools that have committed funds to NIL that don't get this rev share check because it's going to get an injunction slapped on it, because that's coming in August. People think, we're going to get this. No, there's an army of attorneys lined up outside the NCAA getting ready to sue over Title IX. And how can you cap something? I can't tell you what your market value is. And there's teams that have committed money that they don't have physically yet that they're going to have to come up with. So don't be shocked if there ain't a bunch of kids that, play 3 games and say, I'm hitting the portal because I was promised X amount of dollars and they can't pay me because this is held up in court.
Yeah, I don't know all that. The universities aren't paying the players the NIL stuff, so hopefully the collectives have the money to pay what they're promising. But Brandon brings up a good point. Hey, if you don't like the way it is, you can be independent. Notre Dame proved it's worth it, so just be independent. The conferences should go away, in my opinion. But Let's get to our last topic here. Let's talk about the game that's coming up 7 days from now. Right now, I will be either frantically pacing all over this room with my emotional support football, or I will be sitting back enjoying a game, hopefully. But we have Notre Dame, Ohio State. Biggest matchup. I mean, can you think of a bigger national championship matchup ever?
I've always dreamed of something like this for a national title game. Two blue bloods like Notre Dame and Ohio State with rich tradition. It doesn't get any better than this. I mean, especially this is the Midwest National Championship for like Midwest football.
Yeah, I can't think of one. Like, I was trying really hard today. I was like, there's been a lot of great natties, right? You think about like Texas, USC, like Vince Young's walk-offs, like all that stuff. That was cool. But those programs don't move the needle, right? Like, I mean, Texas and USC, big programs, big fan bases, nothing like Ohio State, Notre Dame. And then I thought, well, it would be kind of similar to when Alabama played Georgia for the title, right? Two deep South teams, a lot of passion, that's not the same at all. I'm sorry. These programs and there's so much more to it with this matchup than there was with that one. Those teams play all the time. These teams don't play that often. Obviously, they played the last 2 years. But other than that, they don't play. I mean, I think they've only played 20 times in their history or something like that. And they are the biggest brands in college football. They're the biggest brands. I mean, Texas is a big brand. Notre Dame, Ohio State, I guess Bama. I don't even know. Bama's not even as big. Like, they're the biggest brands in college football, battling for the biggest prize in college football. I just can't imagine. This is going to be the coolest thing ever. And on top of that, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's something special about year 3 at Notre Dame.
And what would that be?
Year 3, just to give you a little hint. Here you go. So, year 3 at Notre Dame is a special year. Frank Leahy, Eric Parseghian, Dan Devine, Lou Holtz. What did they all do in year 3?
Win a natty.
Won a natty. What year is Marcus Freeman in right now?
What do you mean year 3?
Year 3. Lou Holtz, Dan Devine, Eric Parseghian, Frank Leahy, Marcus Freeman has a chance to do something and put himself into Notre Dame lore forever. In the same year, I mean, it is just, if this is not lining up, and I get it, when we break down the game, and I will, there's going to be a lot of reasons I tell you why Ohio State will win the game. I promise you. I've looked at the film. I've watched so much Ohio State and Notre Dame this year. I honestly could probably sleep and tell you stuff. But at the end of the day, there's something about this, right? It's year 3. Legends, the people that built this great institution, that built the program that is Notre Dame, that built the history that Notre Dame thrives on, all won a national championship in year 3. And Marcus Freeman has taken this team, put it on his back, and carried them. I mean, obviously the players played the game, but he built the culture. He did everything to get them to this point. And they have a chance to win a national championship on Martin Luther King Day, first of all. It would be really racist of Ryan Day to beat a black head coach on Martin Luther King Day, by the way. But there's something special, man. This team's special. Everything about what Marcus Freeman is building at Notre Dame is special. And I want you guys to tell me, do you guys think Notre Dame can actually win this game?
Go ahead, Rich.
Duke, you go first. I gotta sit and marinate on this one.
I think a combination of factors. I think that a lot of the things around Ohio State, I think a lot of their media is feeding them rat poison. I think that, you overlook somebody like a Notre Dame. You walk into it and you think that, we're going to win by multiple scores. You have people telling you you're going to win by multiple scores. You really have all the pressure in the world because you can't lose. And the one thing that will send the crazies over the edge is let's just put this on for real. If Notre Dame wins this game, it's Marcus Freeman, former Buckeye. And for the people out there saying, well, we owned this program, Ohio State owns Penn State. They own, Minnesota.
They own Michigan since World War II, but
yeah, but I mean the last couple of
last 4 years you can't say that. I get it.
And so I think that when it comes down to it, if you buy into the hype, and the other thing too is that they say Notre Dame's one-dimensional. They can't run the football.
They can't pass the football, but yeah,
they can't do anything. Mm-hmm. The team that literally can't do anything, they can't play defense, they can't do nothing because all the teams they beat aren't any good. That made it into the 12-team playoff. They're not any good.
Yep.
And all those combining factors that go into this, it's there's a reason why you play the game. If Notre Dame comes out and Ohio State lets them hang around, it's going to be a ball game. And when it comes to the 10 men on the field,
there's so much.
There's a lot of that talk going on. I know there's probably some bad blood between Al Washington and Ryan Day.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real here. And it's funny that Irish for Life brings this up. Most OSU fans they're buying their natty gear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I will put the cart before the horse. That's just me.
And that's a good outlet to have. I mean, here's what I think. Can they win this game? Yes, absolutely. Anybody can win on any day. Ohio State is not unbeatable. It's been proven. They've been beaten twice, and Texas even proved it last time they played. Texas had a good game plan. They just couldn't put it together. And all that tells me is because the first two games of this playoff, I was on board. Ohio State's not getting beat. I mean, if they play the way they played against Oregon and Tennessee, nobody's beating that team. Nobody. If they play the way they played against Texas, well, now we have a chance. Now Notre Dame can stay in the game. If Notre Dame can do some of the things Texas did, if they can do some of the teams or some of the things Michigan did, Nebraska did, Penn State did it, to keep it in grasp. Notre Dame, I mean, you just look at this team, and I think there's something different about them. With the injuries are one thing, and not that Ohio State hasn't dealt with their fair share, so don't even use that as an excuse. If Notre Dame goes and gets blown out, it's not because they had too many injuries. It's because Ohio State was a more talented team. That's all. If Notre Dame goes out and wins the game, it's not because Ohio State had too many injuries. It's because Notre Dame had a better game plan. Notre Dame went out and executed better. That's all it is. It comes down to execution, and Dave brings up a good point. They can. Notre Dame can beat them. Will they? That's a different question. I agree. I don't disagree with that. I'm not ready to sit here and tell you Notre Dame's going to win the game, but I'm telling you they have a chance. And then, OSU's the favorite. Say Notre Dame doesn't have a chance is foolish. I agree. Dave, we'll talk a lot about this. I agree with you. If they play too much man-to-man, it could get dicey for them. The one thing I would tell you is that Al Golden in this defense, I went back and rewatched last year's game against Ohio State when they had Marvin Harrison Jr., which I think Jeremiah Smith is a much better receiver than Marvin Harrison Jr. was last year. Just my opinion. A lot of people won't like that. But they didn't play a whole lot of man-to-man. They played a lot of zone coverage last year against Ohio State because they didn't think they could cover a man-to-man. And they had Benjamin Morrison at that moment. So I would imagine Al Golden is going to play to his strengths and probably play more zone than he ever has. Dude, I can't wait for Notre Dame and Michigan to play again. That's one of my favorite games.
I can't wait either.
Ever. Disciple says, watch out for the Notre Dame secondary. They make big plays at big times in big games. Yeah, I'm just going to add that because you're absolutely right. All I'm saying is they like to do that. Yeah, 4 years ago they said he was scoring 100 on Michigan. Has almost got there. Yeah, one day he will score 100 on Michigan. It just might take him 5 or 6 years to do it. And special teams could be the difference. I like this. This is a perfect take. Here's what I said to my friends, and one of my buddies today was like, dude, tell me how Notre Dame wins. And I told him, I said, listen, if they can block a kick, if they can get a return for a touchdown, if they can make a play on special teams and win the turnover battle, Notre Dame has not only a chance, but a good chance to win this game. If they can make a couple plays on special teams, they're really just one. Just block a punt or block a field goal or return a kick for a touchdown. One of those, and if they force Will Howard to make a couple mistakes, maybe one turnover, something like that in a big moment, Notre Dame absolutely can be in this game. If by some crazy chance we win, do we have to share it with NIU? I think we give them rings too. You know, just be nice, especially after the NIU coach called Marcus Freeman up after the game and said, hey, I like you. I like what you're doing. Would you like me to share how I thought we could beat you? And he did. And Marcus Freeman was like, yeah, I mean, tell me, bro. And and the NIU coach walked him through exactly what their game plan was and what he saw out of Notre Dame that could cause problems. And, hey, like Fran Brown wanted to do. Fran Brown said he should send Ryan Day a bottle of champagne for running Kyle McCord out of town. If I'm Marcus Freeman, I'm sending NIU's head coach, who I think got fired, by the way, poor guy. I'm sending him a box of champagne. Thank you. But that's my opinion, and we'll break it down in a lot more depth. But everybody's going to tell you. Everybody is going to tell you how Ohio State. What? Oh, he didn't get fired?
No.
Good. Oh, I was thinking of Marshall's head coach. That's my bad.
No. Well, Charles Huff just didn't get offered an extension.
Yeah, that's my bad. But you sent NIU's head coach. Talk about humility. Absolutely. That's when I read that story. That was just another reason why Marcus Freeman is different. Listen, Urban Meyer lost games he shouldn't have lost. If the opposing coach had called him up to tell him how he beat him, Urban Meyer might have motherfucked that guy out of existence.
But let's also remember a certain wide receiver coach would walk in the offensive meeting room and said, man, I think we're going to shred. I think we're going to be bad on defense. What does Urban do? He stands up and goes in the defensive room for like a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, you know,
that's trusting who you hired. That's just smart.
And the funny thing is that it's always funny because, you know, the two guys that were in the offensive room were like, yes, he's out of here.
Yeah. But, oh, my God, could you imagine Kelly's ego doing that? No. Brian Kelly, I'll leave it at that. No.
I just, you know, there's been a lot of pot shots taken at Brian Kelly. We've done it. And I think I will continue to do it. Fuck that guy. And for me, looking at this, like in all things, in all intensive purposes,
you're not about to defend Brian Kelly on this podcast.
I'm not defending him. It's
okay.
I'm to the point to where we've won more big games in a month than he did in his whole tenure. I don't think that continuing to talk about Brian Kelly is serving anybody any good.
Oh, like, no. Yeah.
And like, you know, there was a couple I seen on a big platform. They were like, "Well, I wonder what." Like, dude, like he's not going to get fired at LSU. They're not paying him $60 million. They're stuck with him. It's like a Lincoln Riley situation. They're stuck with him. So
but let's also understand that the irony is just so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, the guy couldn't get it done, and he left. And he said the reason he left is because he wanted to go to a place where he would have the resources and ability to compete for national titles. And then 3 years later, the school he left is in a national title game, and this motherfucker still hasn't made the playoffs.
And, it's like but I just look at it as the whole, as like a grand scheme of thing. Like whatever he does, it's, hey, you know what?
It's all gravy now, man. I mean, hey, honestly, I feel thankful. I'm thankful that Brian Kelly left. I am thankful that he hired Marcus Freeman, and then he tucked his tail and ran, because it elevated Marcus Freeman to a place where, A, he's loyal to Notre Dame because Notre Dame gave him a shot. B, he's one of the best coaches in college football, and Notre Dame has him. I mean, there's a lot to be thankful for with Brian Kelly. I wish I didn't waste 15 years of my life watching him, but he gave me some good moments too. So, it's kind of like your ex-wife, right? Like, you had good times. It didn't work out, but there's still good memories there. But at the end of the day, you got to be thankful that you left or that she left.
Well, it was a mutual parting ways, and I don't think anybody.
And it was not mutual on Notre Dame's part. They were not excited about him leaving.
I think
it worked out.
Well, it worked out, and I think that where Notre Dame is sitting right now, I think they're sitting in a better trajectory right now than what LSU is.
Yes,
and they don't have a guy that they don't want that's a fake Southerner with a $60 million buyout tag.
Yeah.
Family.
But so Brendan's going to put up a dry erase board during the game, highlighting the keys to victory for Notre Dame and mark an X or a check during the game. I love that. Are you going to do the keys to victory that we tell you? Because if so, I need you to send me that and see how many we get checked and X'd and what happens.
Right here, Irish for life. Brian Kelly did bring Notre Dame back because it was dark times under Charlie Weiss.
It was.
That's fair.
It was.
Yeah, pretty
Brian
abysmal.
Kelly brought it back to a level. For what he did, he maximized for what he did. Now, on the other end of it, Brian Kelly didn't want he got a little Chip Kelly-ish. He didn't want to fundraise.
And he also took a dump on Notre Dame on the way out, like Cameron said. So
yes.
But Dave's here has a great point. If Notre Dame wins, the best part would be to point and laugh at Kelly. I think the best part would be winning a natty, but I know you're a Michigan fan, so that doesn't matter to you. And besides OSU fans' dreams being crushed, that's the best. Yeah, that's a true Michigan fan. Richie loves that.
Yeah, so we're not trying to do the Wolverine thing, because you know how the Miami fans and Wolverine fans we're not trying to be
but also Dave, stick around for the next week. I might get there. We'll see. I'm very realistic right now. But the closer this game gets and the more pumped I get and the more I'm driven by adrenaline and not logic, I might get there. I might pick Notre Dame. Who knows? Here
we are.
Yes, exactly.
So I think, that's where we're at. What else are we covering today?
That's it, man. I think that takes care of everything. Unless anybody has any questions or anything like that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. On that note, I do want to share this one more time though, because we got a few in here tonight. I appreciate everybody coming in, and I especially appreciate our regulars. Cam, Irish for Life, Brendan, Dave, all you guys, Sid, everybody in here, Disciple, blowing up the chat makes it so much more fun for us to interact with you guys. Anybody who's in Columbus, from Columbus, lives around Columbus, or just wants to make a trip to see a bunch of Ohio State fans lose their mind while we talk about Notre Dame. Saturday, 3 p.m. in Columbus, Ohio, we're going to be in the belly of the beast, Ike's Pub. Come out, show out, and come hang out with us. Have some drinks. They got great drinks, good good bartenders. The few lookers in there and things like that. If you're one of the single gentlemen out there,
Hey, Disciple, I live in Fort Wayne myself, man.
Hey, Brennan,
Yeah.
tell your wife. Hey, tell your wife you're going on a grocery run.
just make sure you come back. Don't go get the milk and leave.
Irish for life. I am somewhat nervous.
Yeah, he's quietly confident.
I'm just a realist.
That right there. That's the most important thing you can do for us. Hit the like and subscribe. Like the episode. Retweet us, all that stuff. Help us out. If you're going to be in Columbus, come out. See us Saturday, January 18th, this Saturday, 3 p.m., Ike's Pub. We'll be out there hanging out. We'll be there, probably get there around 2 to set up and everything, and then we'll do our show. Then we'll hang out for a few hours after, and if you're lucky, Duke will show you his secret talent after a few shots.
That is not true. That is definitely not true.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yes, but Disciple, follow us on Twitter, Disciple. I live in Fort Wayne myself, so with that being said, anybody got anything else?
No, I appreciate all y'all.
All right.
Hey, after tomorrow, we got 6 sleeps till the natty, boys.
Yep, everybody. Irish for life, Brendan, Disciple. You guys all have a good night. We will see you tomorrow. We'll be back here live at 7:30. Hit that like and subscribe button. Like Carter says, live show this weekend. So we'll be back at it this weekend. Everybody have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.